Flight boss, bitch, you know. For sure. You're not listening to the Mind of Terry's Moon. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And this video right here is going to be about the metaphysics behind candy, aka why does candy make you sick actually, and how the shadow government is utilizing it for depopulation control. Now you probably think this is a far reach. You probably think I'm reaching far. You probably think I'm reaching for the stars. You probably think I'm reaching too hard. For the most part, this is not a motherfucking reach. This is why you could be having a motherfucker sugar rush in some way, shape, or form. But here's the thing, right? It's not actually about the goddamn sugar rush that's making you sick. So you'll have a whole bunch of people out here, especially in the conscious community, right? And start to develop their aspects or their interpretation about certain foods, certain health regimens and things of that nature. And it start to get too much into the details, aka the devil is in the details. But you could get lost into the details to the point that you kind of look like the detail and everybody else want to come to you for the details. So you start to appear to look like the devil in some way, shape, or form, thinking that whatever you're doing, since it's working, is the right thing to do. And for the most part, this is how we get lost into these realms of reality. But here's the thing. We'll start to look at things like this, right? And start to correlate these things and start to say which one of these is good for us, which one of these is bad for us. And you don't even know what's actually going on. And here's what you need to understand, right? When you're taking a piece of a sugar ball, aka however the candy is manufactured, whatever kind of candy it is, it's just basically a sugar ball, right? That causes a rush of fluids within you. So here's the thing, right? When you're eating a piece of candy, you might think, oh man, this candy is juicy, this candy is fruity, oh I love this candy, I love the flavor and things of that nature. But you don't know that that's just a sugar ball, aka it just has ingredients in it to cause a rush of fluids within you. So the only thing that you're swallowing is your own mucus. You're not, when you're chewing gum, when you're eating a piece of candy, it's not the actual material that you're actually accumulating the fluid from. What you're doing is just adding flavor to your own mucus, your own spit. And here's the thing. Once you have the more amount of sugar in the candy or the gum, the more rush you're going to have, the more sugar rush you're going to have, aka the more fluid is going to rush to your taste buds. And once you have enough fluid rushing to your taste buds, this develop a whole bunch of mucus within the mouth. And here's the thing. Now you just have a flavor for your mucus. See what I'm saying? It's almost like making Kool-Aid for your mucus. So instead of putting Kool-Aid powder and sugar and water, you're putting this sugar ball in the form of a candy in your mouth, and it's dissolving, playing out as flavor for your fluid, your own mucus. So here's the thing. Once you start to develop a whole lot of mucus and swallow it, this clogs up organs, this clogs up arteries and things of that nature. Then when you got a whole bunch of ingredients in that mucus, for the most part, just start to develop illnesses, and that's why your stomach start to hurt, or you catch heartburn if you eat too much candy and things of that nature, and it start to go into a whole bunch of other health issues. Now here's the thing, right? Do everything in moderation, because this should just be something you enjoy yourself from time to time. But here's the thing, right? This takes it to a circumstance where you have people who understand the psyche and understand these things. So this is where you have people in power take things a little further, where you start having a shadow government as far as these Zionists, Masons, these Jewish mysticism and which basically just Zionists and things of that nature, and Catholicism and the Vatican, right? And then they start to participate into certain corporations. Now certain corporations own certain candy manufacturers. You know what I'm saying? You have Snicker, Milky Way, and all the same type of other shit. Same way you have like Pepsi and everybody who's up under the Pepsi organization, like Mountain Dew and shit like that. And the same way you got Coca-Cola and everything up under the Coca-Cola orchestration, shit like motherfucking root beer and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I got that right? So I think root beer, yeah. So Pepsi will have Pepsi has root beer, and motherfucker Coca-Cola has Dr. Pepper. Okay, yeah, so you know they all in the competition and things, but it's basically based upon that. So when you think about each corporation, back to supported by their religious backings, their upbringing, and what kind of corporation they're with as far as the shadow government, right? Here's where certain candies are starting to be utilized. This is why you could go back in the day and start to hear about candy that used to kill people and things of that nature. Don't think that these candies is being manufactured and it just so happened people killed themselves. No, this is, or not killed themselves, but ate this piece of candy and died. No, it's because these are things that's being put in the candy for certain purposes and things of that nature. And when you got like a geometric, mathematical precision with certain sugars, certain carbons, certain ingredients, and mix them up in a certain way, right, it causes a sugar rush. And the more ingredients, the more of the sugar rush, aka the more the sugar rush, the more mucus, and the more mucus, the more clogging up your arteries and things of that nature. But it gets a little further, because once they start to decipher what kind of ingredients that they're putting in there, now they're starting to see what kind of things that they are injecting you with. So this is another form of, you know what I'm saying, causing things with the food. I don't even want to say them, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, this is how they get to correlate things with you and start to fuck with your hormonal imbalances and things of that nature. And then they want to start to call it hereditary, or then they want to start to call it it's in your DNA, or you got it from family, or it's genetics in some way, shape, or form. Whatever your malfunction is. Like if you got arthritis, they ask, did you have it in your family? If you got this, that, and the third, they ask, do you have it in your family? So all this hereditary, all this other extracurricular shit, a lot of times is something that they have started based upon their shots and their foods and their candies and things of that nature. So due to the fact of these things already being in the blood and the mucus of your parents, for the most part these things are in your grandparents, for the most part these things are developing you, and now you have you're born with certain instabilities when it comes to the physical form and things of that nature, where one hand may be stiffer than the other, you know what I'm saying? You might develop bad knees a lot earlier in life than you're supposed to and stuff like that, to the point that is all correlated to this is an ongoing cycle of them utilizing us as lab rats and things of that nature. So you have to keep that in mind, and it's a very deep thing. Now here's the thing, candy is good. Anything that causes sugar rush is good, but you know how to do everything in moderation. But here's the thing, it gets tricky once you can understand it from this perspective, because it puts you into a space where now you don't know who's in charge of these motherfucking manufacturing companies, and you don't know the agenda behind them and things of that nature. And then once you eating these pieces of candy and developing all this mucus within you, and here's the thing, right? We're not talking about chocolate. Chocolate is a whole different thing. When we start to talk about food and texture, these things are different. But when we start to talk about actual candy, like the old school version of candy, like starting with peppermints and shit like that and things of that nature, where this is the very early stage of when it was pure. Once we started to get all kind of mixtures, just like they call quote unquote race, but it started to get very cloggy and things of that nature with different things that they think they can do with different sugars, right? And different gums and stuff like that, whatever they call that, the different sugars and shit like that, right? This one, they start to get a little too creative. And then for the most part, it could be at the sake of your health in some way, shape, or form, and matters and means that you are unaware of, and you thinking that you having health problems just due to the fact of the actual candy itself, where really it's just you eating something that's making you develop a lot of mucus at the moment, you know, and a little too much mucus. And then it gets a little crazy, because then when we want to start to place blame on the candy, now we have to look at the actual ingredients at certain candies and see who run these manufacturing companies, because for the most part that can lead into other circumstances and situations where it's leading into depopulation control. You know what I'm saying? Where it's a slow death, right? Where a piece of candy can end up cancer later on in your life. You know what I'm saying? And it gets tricky knowing what kind of candy. So if it ain't the pure old school candy, if it's some new crazy kind of shit, the bubble gum with 23 flavors in one piece, or some all kind of dumbass shit like this, be careful with giving your kids these kind of candies and things of that nature, because this could be a slow form of depopulation control and a slow death. You know what I'm saying? Because we got the things that they're putting in it. It doesn't matter what they put in it. Once you're developing a whole lot of mucus in the first place, that's too much mucus. You need mucus to survive, but too much mucus can also make you die. So not only are you intaking something that causes you to have a sugar rush, aka a developing of a whole bunch of mucus, but also your mucus got flavor to it. So this can make you have that sweet tooth, or have a not sweet tooth, but have a bad habit towards things and keep eating the same thing. And then for the most part, these things can be developing health issues, and then a doctor don't know what to do with you. And then especially if you live in an urban area, you may not even have sufficient enough insurance, so you're always going to the emergency room and things of that nature. You definitely, and I'm gonna say definitely for that, you definitely not going to be able to be taken care of the way that you're supposed to and things of that nature. And then they're going to be giving you medicine and antibiotics and all kind of things for that ain't got nothing to do with the root cause, aka whatever that you was intaking, and you develop a whole lot of mucus, and then that whatever candy you ate that added all that flavor to that mucus is sitting in that area developing other tissues and shit like that, because that's what it actually boils down to, is actually developing tissues, and these tissues is actually developing as areas that can kind of block your muscles from moving the way that they supposed to be moving, because you got an extra area there that ain't supposed to be there, that's acting like a muscle, but it's a new piece of tissue based upon what all your blood cells had to do in order to survive in that area. And then for the most part, once they all get stuck in that area, this is where you get the concept of tumors, this is where you get the concept of blood clots, this is where you get the concept of not being able to digest sufficiently. This is where you get the concept of brain fog. This is where you get the concept, you know what I'm saying? Because there's things going on within you based upon the development of mucus in areas that it's not supposed to be in, and it having added ingredients to it. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to be careful what kind of candy that you actually eating when it comes to these new time kind of candies. Keep it simple, keep it basic, keep it cute. You know what I'm saying? Don't get all extra crazy with all these new candies that they coming out with, new suckers and all this motherfucker shit. And if it ain't no simple shit with the regular flavors, you know what I'm saying? Kind of chill out when you start to get to all these goddamn new versions of Skittles, Rainbow Skittles, and all this motherfucker shit. Because really, if you really want a sweet tooth, your really first go-to should be like forms of like chocolate, or like snacks, like donuts or honey buns or muffins and stuff like that. That kind of, and if you are gonna do candy, kind of be chocolatey, like, you know what I'm saying? Because chocolate kind of be the next thing from something firm. You know what I'm saying? But then when you want to get the candy, sugar, right? You only supposed to utilize that as like you drinking something cold, or like extremely cold or something. Like this is a treat, like a every now and then. Therefore, on a percentage level, you're not developing a lot of mucus anyway, regardless of if you are enjoying all the new candies, pardon me, and shit like that. But here's the thing. Let's say you're a candy addict, and all you do is eat candy and shit like that. Then for the most part, this puts you into a situation where you're going to burn your insides out. And due to the fact of all your mucus rushing to one area, and your mucus is your insides, and those are what develop into organs. And when you got them all rushing to one spot, they're going to start developing tissues that try to manifest as fake organs in areas that was never meant for an organ to be in. And all it's going to do is block muscle movements and shit like that, and play out for you as you being in pain, or you retaining gas in areas you're not supposed to retain gas in, and all kind of extra crazy shit. So you got to keep that in mind. But yeah, that's why candy make you sick, because it caused you to develop a whole lot of mucus, and the candy is not giving you the juice itself, it's just giving you the flavor, aka the flavor for the mucus that you're developing. And the more mucus that you don't need in your body, but you're putting it in your body, is how you develop certain clogs in areas that start to play out as health issues that they got all the names for when you go to the motherfucking hospital in some way, shape, or form. And this is talking about gum and hard candy. You know what I'm saying? Not chocolate and other shit. Because, you know, you can't put no peanuts and shit like that, or nuts in no candy. It won't really not necessarily taste right. But you can do that in some chocolate. You know what I'm saying? But when we start to talk about candy, this is manufactured sugar balls. And once we have people in power kind of knowing the reaction and responses it gets based upon knowing that too much mucus in the wrong area could develop illnesses and things of that nature, now we have people utilizing this as reverse psychology, as depopulation control and a slow death. So people are dying before they reach 25 and unknown reasons. And I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. So do everything in moderation.